On
Live.
everyone. Yeah, we are live. Look
We are
at
totally live. We are alive and
us.
kicking.
Welcome everyone to YouTube Live, where we talk about all kinds of stuff when it comes to being a female entrepreneur and feeling good about it.
Yeah, this is a true story. Did you
That
know
is
that
what we
it's a
do.
different world to be a female entrepreneur in?
Well, it's not only that, but I think that it's just like we have to figure out how to be females in a business world that's generally very masculine, that's
Mm-hmm.
generally run by men. I mean, you look at a lot of the elite groups that are business minded, and it's men. Like, men is where it stems from. Women haven't necessarily been behind those closed doors to hear those conversations.
Right.
And now we're getting the trickles down from those elite groups of how to build businesses,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is a masculine conversation, and I think that we're pretty much tearing that apart, and we're going, well, that doesn't really serve, because I know for me it doesn't serve for me to be working all day and then go, oh crap, I need to do this thing too, this needs to get done right now. And it's like, when I realized that I was pushing myself to the brink of death, basically, that I couldn't do those things where it was like, oh, wait, I have to do this too. I had to let things go at a certain point. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's not a conversation that a lot of people have in the business world. It's like, no, this is what happens before your head hits the pillow. And that conversation was making me feel exhausted, getting me overwhelmed, getting me in a place of anxiety, in a state of fight or flight where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, everything has to be done right now, where it really doesn't have to be done right now. It'll get done when it gets done in its perfect time. And it's freeing when you think that, when you
Mm-hmm.
experience that. So, yeah, it's a different world. And we gotta, as women, we have to step up and go, wait a minute, I already have a lot of things on my plate. I need to actually figure out what makes the most sense for me as a female. Whether you're whether you're taking care of the kids or taking care of your husband or taking care of pets or whatever, your house, what it doesn't matter. We have to figure out, how do I want to feel? And for me, it's always the question of, how do I continue to feel good
Mm-hmm.
in what I'm doing? And if I'm like racing through life, trying to put everything into this small amount of time, squish everything in, I don't feel good at the end of the day. And I don't want to feel like that anymore. So, yeah.
True story.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
It's interesting as we continue to have this conversation because we do start off in a world of learning from the men. Like we had no choice, to be honest, right? Because they were the ones that were in the financial world. They were the ones that were creating the businesses. They were the ones that were running the businesses, right? And that's just the reality. There's like nothing right or wrong about that whole thing. And by the way, it's Halloween. So if you're asking why I'm wearing a pumpkin on my boobs, as everyone is keeps telling me, I'm just pointing that out, just calling it for what it is. Not a big deal. But
You
that's
do
where,
you.
yeah, I'm doing me over here. I'm just enjoying the pumpkiny world of Halloween over here. But it's interesting because we adopted the male business plan because we didn't know there was a different way to do this. We had no clue. We really, even today, right now, as we've been building out Truth Bomb Academy and unlocking my millions for the new way women build business plans, right? For how we approach and think about building and structuring a business, which isn't that far off, but there's enough little nuances that it really is making a difference for women. They're having an incredible mental, physiological experience by doing this a different way. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Right. And that's where people, I think, get hung up, especially a lot of the female entrepreneurs. They're like, but what's been out there is works. Yes. And I'm putting an and in here, the high rate of burnout amongst women is growing because we keep following this male method of business. It's not our method. Let's face it, like we need a yin and yang. And the reality is we need the yin to the yang in business. And right now we only have the masculine business plan. And really where what we've been creating inside Unlocking My Millions is the female business plan. It's the complementary side to this world of business. We need both. Women have really great strengths around building their business, right? Do we need to tap into some of the men's structure and philosophy? Absolutely. But we also need to highlight and tie in what women are really good at, because we think about different business differently. We look at it holistically. We look at how it's going to impact our lives. I mean, I was talking with a lady the other day who's making candles, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm worried about the packaging. I don't want to have this be expensive when I ship it. So I'm looking for something that stacks nicely, is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, right? That looks good, that provides a great experience of my product, but doesn't cost an arm and a leg to ship, because I don't want my customers to have to pay an arm and a leg to get the candle, all because shipping is twice as much as the candle is. Like, that's the thinking process right there, right? And I know that's not just unique to women, but it's like, it's that compassion and that price sensitivity around product development that gives women a different look to how we build. And we're price sensitive because we've always been given a budget.
Yep.
Right. I don't know about like, and this is like pre us, this is pre our time period, but I know like for years and years and years, women have been given an allotted amount of money. They called it pin money. They called it all sorts of things that women were allowed to spend on what they needed. We always had to ask money for our clothes. We had to ask for money for, just living our lives on a day-to-day basis. And so we feel like every time we ask, it's an inconvenience, but money is part of what we're learning. And I think we're unlocking the money truth for a lot of women. And then that dives into how do we look at our business? And then that dives into so many different elements of how are you living your life?
I mean, one thing that you said was where females are coming up against seeing what we're doing as far as the business plan and going, but the masculine side works. Why do we need to change it? So the question is, does it work? Because you look at the statistics of how men are building their business. And when you look at it, men are about 20 to 25% are able to hit the six-figure mark. 20 to 25% of male entrepreneurs can hit that six-figure mark. 10%, 8 to 10% of females are able to hit that six-figure mark. And then we go even higher. And we go, well, how many people are hitting that seven-figure mark? And only 2% of women are hitting the seven-figure mark. So the question is it actually working?
Yeah.
That's the question at the end of the day. So people are like, oh no, but it works. Why break something that's working? Is it working? I don't think it's working. I think that that's abysmal, honestly. I think that this whole concept of equality needs to go to our business as well. And when we look at it, we have to realize that we're different and that we need to actually create our lives in a different way than the men do. And that if we're looking to create our lives in the same way that the men are, we're just not going to be as effective.
Yeah.
So
there's so many things in our culture that embrace the differences between men and women. You look at our sports and it's like they embrace the differences, but in business, there's never been a difference in the way that we build. And it's just like embracing that is going to make us succeed in what we do well.
And at the end of the day, I think that a lot of the things that we're talking about, the men need it as well, because the men are so focused on the actions and the to-dos and all of that. And they forget that there's actually a piece of them, a huge piece of them, that is also creative. And that if they tapped into that creative side, how much more could they build in their business? How much more successful could they be also? And so I think at the end of the day, it's looking at our culture and how our culture is so logically focused and what makes the most sense. And sometimes, yes, that's important, but there also has to be a creative side. I know inside of the Truth Bomb Academy that we have, I shared a TED Talk where her name is Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. She's a neuroscientist, and she was having a stroke, right? And what she experienced was both sides of her brain, because we have two hemispheres of our brain, right? We have a right and a left side of our brain, okay? One of your sides of your brain is focused on logic. The other side of your brain is focused on creativity. So she found herself while she was having the stroke, she would have periods of lucidity where she realized that she was in trouble and that she was having a stroke and that she needed to call somebody. And then, not even moments later, she would be off in the universe going, wow, isn't it nice to feel oneness
Mhm.
and feel whole and feel this creative side of
Mhm.
me? There's two sides of you. And when we can blend those sides together, they stop fighting. I
Mm.
don't know about you, but when I started actually looking to blend both sides of me, I stopped fighting with myself. I stopped saying, "Oh, I'm this," or "Oh, they're so much better than me," or all the things that we tell ourselves that don't serve us. When we can actually look at ourselves in a more holistic way and actually accept both of those sides of our brain, the
Mm.
logical and the creative, and play with both and play in both realms, that's when we feel more whole. And that's when the creativity can flow. And that's where alignment comes in also. Feeling 100% in alignment
Mhm.
because you are playing in both realms. You're playing in the physical reality of the logic, and then you're also playing in the what if. This could be really fun if I can create this. Being in that creative state. So,
And I love where you went with this, and I'm just going to just backtrack a little bit because it ties into this piece. I always found it interesting when you talk to very successful men, they say their true secret is the woman. Usually it's their wife,
Mm.
right? And the reason I say that in just kind of an obvious way for where I'm tying this into, when you talk about how the balance of the brain is working, how we both use the creative and the linear side of our brain, right? Women have this ability to, I believe, really go between the two easier. I think they're tied into a creativity plane that is always at work that necessarily the men actually have to work a little bit harder to tap into. And that's why I think when we talk about this, we talk about how, behind every successful man is a successful woman. Well, the other piece behind that is that we haven't shown women a separate business plan or a separate way to approach life so that behind every successful woman is a successful man, because I think they complement each other. It's a back and forth, not a one-way street. And we keep hearing over and over again that we're in a supportive role, we're in a giving role, we're in a different type of role in society, and I call bullshit on that, to be honest. I think that we are part of the society, and I think we have a much bigger role to play than we've allowed ourselves, or that we've been allowed to play, to be
Mm.
honest.
yeah,
So
I think the been allowed to play is a really big piece of it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be at home and be Martha Stewart. And as time has gone on, we're realizing as females, we're like, wait a minute, I have so much more that I want to give to the world.
Yeah.
I want to give to my family, but I have other talents that I want to share with the world too.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with the dawn of the internet, a lot of especially moms are like, hey, I can be at home taking care of the kids and build a business because I can create this influence around something that I know, around something that I can help other people experience as well.
Yeah. And
So,
it's true. And the thing is that women can do more. And then we have to recognize this is the second piece of the puzzle. Women can't keep doing it alone. I
mhm,
think the internet also portrayed this super mom kind of a thing, like, look what I can do all of that myself, right? And
right.
we've perpetuated this single motherhood or this solo motherhood, even if you do have a business partner. And I think that is also something that has to be considered in this dynamic conversation around a business, because the more you try to do it all on your own, the more you try to run your household, run your business, do everything as a mom, as a woman, as a wife, you really are going to head to burnout faster. The collaboration piece has to come back for women. And it needs to come back in a way. And I know there's a lot of conversations going on right now. I know there's a lot of push for sisterhoods. I'm seeing this pop up all over the place, right? In the business world and in the spiritual world and in the health world and all the different realms, the money world. We're talking about sisterhoods. I'm seeing more and more women that are saying, hey, we want to have a seat at the table. And when they say a seat at the table, they mean the financial table. They're talking the multi-trillion, quadrillion dollar level of investing, right? Because the women don't sit at that table yet, or they're finding their way to that table, or they're just like, you know what? I don't want that table. I'll freaking create our own.
Mm.
Right. And that's the really interesting thing about watching the women right now is like, we're like, okay, well, if we can't get this information from the men, if we're not allowed to have a seat at those tables, then we'll create our own table and we'll just do it better. Right. And so there is this mentality of that we'll just do it better. We'll continue to do this. And we can't do this one-upmanship forever. At some point, the blend has got to happen. There has to be a give. There has to be a place of compromise. There have to be a place that we're willing to share this information back and forth. And really acknowledging that women have the brains and the ability to pull off a lot of what needs to happen in the world. We are the collaborators. We are the connectors. We are the resource. We are the human, right, connection. And I think so many times we get stuck up in the linear process of building business that we forget, as Karen keeps reminding us, the emotional process, the feeling process, the creative process of this. You can't keep living in a world that's all linear. Don't mind my dog.
No.
Oh, please.
And because we keep living in a world that's linear, I would say that we've been leaning towards that so much that now the creative force is actually more important because we've already mastered this side. Like now it's time to actually lean into the other side. And in order to do that, a lot of us need to look at our life and ask ourselves, am I in a state of fight or flight? And what I mean by that, if you're in a state of fight or flight, you are most likely experiencing some lower level emotions, things like anger, frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, blaming, shaming, all the things that are not necessarily helping us move forward in our business, but are keeping us stuck, right? So if you're in a state of fight or flight, you are probably in a cycle where you keep thinking about the things that you need to do. You keep overwhelming yourself in some way, shape, or form. And fight or flight looked different in caveman days, right? You had to run away from the bear, right? The bear is coming after me.
No, the dinosaur was coming at me. Let's be honest. It was a dinosaur coming at me.
Something is coming after me and I'm going to die, right? Yeah. So, but in today's world, the thing that's coming after us is all created in our mind. And the problem with that, exactly. The cell phone, right?
Exactly.
The thing that's coming after us is created extremely up in our mind. Like this is where fight or flight starts for us these days because we're not necessarily being chased by a bear. Maybe we get into a car accident. That's going to create fight or flight, right? But then after you get out of the car accident, your body wants to get into a state of homeostasis. But if you get into a car accident, maybe it's a small fender bender, and you're like, wow, that was really scary. I could have died. Like that's a normal human response, okay? But after that state of fight or flight, you now need to go back into homeostasis where your body is down into balance, okay? Homeostasis is balance, okay? Getting back into a place of, okay, I'm safe, I'm good. But we're not allowing ourselves to because now we're going to work and we're saying to our coworker or we're saying to our friend or we're saying to our business partner, oh my God, do you believe this idiot that hit me today? And you're continuing this state of fight or flight. It is healthy to have an oh shit moment where you're like, oh, I could have died. That was really scary. It is not healthy to continue the thought, to continue the feeling that gets you stuck in the past. This is where trauma is born. We create it for ourselves when we get in these cycles. And at this point, like I want to help females to notice, oh, I've been doing that to myself. I know I had to go on this journey and I still go on this journey. This isn't like a one and done experience where I'm like, oh, I'm out of fight or flight. Like I'm so great. No. I have to recheck myself every single day. Yeah. How am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Am I in fight or flight? Am I trying to run from the bear or run from my cell phone, getting overwhelmed by my cell phone? Like, what am I experiencing right now? And a lot of times when we do a body check and we experience what's going on with our body, we can know, does it feel heavy or does it feel joy? Does it feel light?
Yeah. And those are things I don't think most of us are even tapped into. I was having this conversation with a young lady the other day. She's like, I don't always feel love. I don't always feel happy. I don't always feel this. And it's like, yeah, it's because it's a self by self day, minute by minute. That's the present moment, right? And she's beating herself up over not feeling a specific way. And God love the internet. God love all the movies out there, but they perpetuate this ongoing sense that you have to be in this elated mode all the time. And the reality is that's movie acting. Like they have to overact an emotion in order for it to come across on screen, right? That's the theatrical acting. That's really what it is. How do you portray an emotion? You've got to change your face. You have to look at certain things. You are there to get an emotional reaction. And to do that, you have to play a bigger emotional reaction as an actor and actress, right? So I think we've been taught that we have to feel and act a certain way. Like that's the experience. And it's a lie because we don't actually allow ourselves to feel our body, feel our emotions, feel our experience of the world around us. And I think when you look at all the technology, and I held up my phone specifically because I remember watching a show called The Social Dilemma. And if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. And the reason I say that is that,
Is
you
it still
talk
on
about
Netflix?
it's still on Netflix.
Okay, yeah, go to Netflix and watch it, guys, because it's really good.
And one of the things they talk about is the dopamine drip around this, right? And actually, there's been a lot of controversy about how they did this, but that little red notification, it's there to cause you anxiety. It's just to elicit a response from you. They studied this. They studied the color. They studied how it had a sound when it got into your phone. And it's literally triggering your flight or fight response every single time. You want to know why you're in such an overwhelm? If you have any notifications that are going off on your phone, that is the stimulation of overwhelm. You want to get rid of or reduce that? Turn off your notifications. People be like, but how do I know? You can, thanks to my friend Heidi over here, even when you sleep, you can make sure certain phone calls come in, have a do not disturb, and only certain people get through to you at certain times. You can actually put controls in your life to minimize the amount of flight and fright response. I know it's a freaking flight. It's a Halloween response, all right? It's a Halloween response.
You've turned into Beaker from the Muppets. Flip, flooby, floober.
That's Chef, Swedish Chef.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Swedish Chef, yeah.
Beaker. No, I know that, but don't worry. But, Halloween, all the horror movies are about flight or flight, right? The same thing is happening with your phone. The same thing is happening with your time on the internet. You have to look at, especially when you're building your business, and I tell women all the time, you cannot live your life on this internet. It is not where you live.
No.
You live in the real world. This is a box. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us live. But my hope and reality is that you spend 90% off the internet, 10% on here, but that 10% is very strategically set up for syndication, for building your business, for profitability, and not to be in this state of flight or fight and looking at all the opinions that are out there and letting opinions rule your life. Like, stop it. Like, you have to start gaining back some control of your day-to-day activities. For yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your just overall mental health. You want to know why you have a mental health crisis?
Yeah.
Notifications.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, too, at the end of the day, too, we have the mental health crisis. Yes, this is a part of it, but the mental health crisis starts with us. We can choose to be in that cycle, and we can also choose to let go of the cycle, too.
But it's a great clutch. It's a great clutch right now. Everybody has a mental health crisis. It's like, I just need a label and define and give me a medication. And I'm just going to say that out there because it pisses me off that everyone wants it.
It makes me sad because it's like, I want us to wake up as a culture and go, wait, I'm a powerful human being. And I don't have to be defined by a cell phone or what other people say about me. I don't have to be defined by that stuff. I define me. And that's what I want people to grab. As a female entrepreneur, I want every female to Stop worrying about what people are saying about your business. I feel
Mhm.
like that's one of the biggest things that keeps us stuck. We get worried about what are my friends and family going to say to me if I tell them that I have a business? What are they going to say? Are they going to tell me that I need to just go get a job? Are they going to tell me that I'm wasting my time? I'm not spending enough time with my family or my kids because I have a business.
Mm.
When you can let those things go and you can go, wait a minute, I have something, I have an impact that I want to create. I have something I want to create for the world. And you can come at it from a genuine, I want to help other people and I have something I want to give. That, in my opinion, should overtake. But sometimes what happens is we let the opinions of other people stop us or keep us from moving forward.
And
And it's
that's
sad.
that's why we created Unlocking My Millions.
Mhm.
Everything you addressed there, we actually have to un undo for women, and
Yeah.
we have to rewire that thinking for women.
Yeah.
Like everything Karen just said is at in action inside of Unlock My Millions. We actually teach you this. So it's not just theory. We're not just hoping and wishing that one day you'll have it. We're going to show you how to have it. And that's the difference, right? And it took us a while. I'm not gonna lie. We sat here for this whole, for a little over a year now, right? Learning how to reteach this and put an action behind this, put a process behind this, put a
Mhm.
plan together, a business plan that didn't just involve women's like just their business, but it involved your life. It involved
Everything.
all those questions, and involved like, are you in the right business? Do you just need to go get a job? Are you going to replace this with your family? Are you, all those concerns leads back to the beginning of this conversation.
Hmm.
Are you in a male business plan trying to do what they do, knowing it and feeling as though it doesn't serve you, even knowing it doesn't serve you? Or
Mhm.
are you going to get into the creative plan of building your business and customizing it for how you approach business? Because here's the thing, every single one of us ladies, because we are such creators in the world, are going to modify this plan to fit us. I promise you, I've yet to meet a female that can follow a plan that's set by somebody else. We always modify it. I don't care who
Always.
you are. We will
That's
always make a little little tweaks, not like big old things, but there's something that makes it more acceptable, more readily in our lives. There's things like that. So the plan that, what Karen was just sharing, this is what we went up against. We're sitting here and we're like, okay, ladies. And we even asked an exclusive group of women to come through, and we took them on this journey, and we continue to take them on this journey. And what's fascinating for me, what I love, is that every time we go through the Unlocking My Millions with business owners, they understand what their business actually is.
mm,
So many times I get that call, like, can you just build my business plan for me? No, it's your business.
Hmm.
I can't put together your financial plan. It's your business. Like you actually have to understand your financial. You have to understand why you're in your business. And you have to understand how you're planning to market your business. Yes, we talk about who's on your team. Yes, we talk about who's your audience and who's your brand. We talk about all of that because they're interlocked and interconnected. Right
mm.
now, you go on the internet and everything's sold off. You want audience training, go over here. You want brand training, go over here. If you want money training, go over here. If you want marketing training, follow the 40,000 different marketing plans that are out there, right? That are all a hodgepodge of everything. If you want like mindset training, go over here. If you want manifestation training, go here. If you want that, we've torn apart the fabric of being a human. We literally have torn it apart. We've sold it off and it's all beauty and entity. And now what I'm asking is, how do we blur those lines? How do we bring back that spirituality, that mental health, that physical health, that business health, that money health? All of it is actually connected. And the more people try to separate that out and try to confuse you, the more harm they're doing for you. And that's where I'm like, this is why it's called Truth Bomb. Because the truth bomb is that women do business differently, and it's okay. And we are the yin to the yang. So let's create and really continue to refine this process. And so we're looking for the women. We're looking for the women that are like, you know what, let's try something different. Right? Let's go and find what it is that women really need to build this and that have the guts to do it. I'm just going to say it's going to take a certain level of female. You've got to surrender to a new approach. You have to be willing and open to being and looking at things vastly different than you've ever have probably before. We're going to challenge a lot of the beliefs you have, but that's our job as entrepreneurs, is to challenge those beliefs. Otherwise, you're stuck in the same patterns.
I mean, and you have to be able to look at yourself objectively and go, where am I stuck in the same patterns?
Mm.
And that's not an easy process,
Yep.
because you do have to look at yourself in a different light. And that, for me, I have a particular friend, and we do this for each other all the time. Hey, am I this way? Do I need to change something?
Mm.
And we do that for one another because we know we love each other and we want what's best for one another. And we've been through a lot of the same mindset manifestation. Like, a lot of the things that we've experienced in life have gotten us to a point where we can give that feedback to one another and say, this is how I see it. And how I always, and I feel like she does the same thing, how I always say things to her is, if this doesn't feel right, you can let it go. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but this is how I see it. And she does the same thing for me. And at the end of the day, it's really healthy for us both to have that objective outside of opinion that can help us move forward. Now, do I need somebody else to do that? I don't believe I do. If I'm actually doing the work with myself to actually, for me, I sit with myself every day. Like, I sit with myself, and you can't not notice the thoughts when you're sitting quietly with yourself. And when you notice the thoughts that come up, you can go, oh, that's something I need to focus on. That's something that isn't healthy for me to stay there. Now, I do think, though, that as you're going on this journey, having somebody like that can create that collaboration and that accountability is incredibly important. And I know for myself, it's been really healthy for me to figure out what are some blind spots that I might have along the way. But really, at the end of the day, you have to take that long look at yourself and actually go, wait a minute, I am a powerful creator. How am I showing up in the world? And if I like it, great. If I don't like it, what are some things that I need to start thinking differently? What are some things I need to start feeling differently so that I can start creating that in my life?
And the piece that I will tie into that, Karen, that I think is really important is that women need friends.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Do not discount having really good friends in your life. And I say this from the standpoint of, I've had a lot more men friends in my life, but the female friends have had the biggest impact in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And because I can have conversations and I can share things that I typically won't share with the men, or they don't understand that because they don't have the perspective around it, right? And so it's really important. And it has become more, it's a conversation that's happened a lot more in the world, especially as we get older as adults, that women really need friendship. It is girlfriend friendship. It is a critical development of us getting older and maintaining a quality of life, is connecting with other females and building those lifelong friendships. And I know that that's part of one of the reasons I was drawn to both Karen and Heidi inside of doing truth bombs. Like, we're building lifelong friendships, right? And that takes something, and it continues to evolve and develop. And that's where I'm like, if you are trying to do this all on your own, and you're really finding yourself sitting at home talking to no one but your friends on your computer, I'm going to tell you right now, get your ass out of your house and go make a friend. Go make a female friend, go connect with somebody, go share things and connect with, because it is critical to your mental health as you get older to have more. I've seen this with my parents. I have seen this with other individuals. I've had a lot of talk with different women, and I cannot give you enough foresight that friendships and creating those female bonds as friends and having somebody to lean on and having those giggle fests and having those pillow fights and having those moments where you can sit down and just, shoot the shit or be totally transparent with each other are so freaking critical to your mental growth. And it's also important for your emotional well-being. And you want to feel good, start learning how to connect again with women in your life. And I would say that wholeheartedly in the years of transitioning in entrepreneurship over the 15 years, There's a vast difference of going into a workforce and being in a kitchen and working with friends, and then who's actually sticking with you through the thick and thin. And because when you can be in those relationships with your girlfriends and they can understand everything about what's going to keep you up, what's going to hold you down, they can also check your ass too, by the way. If you're being a certain way or whatever, they'll be the first ones to tell you. Right. And those are the types of friends you want in your life. You don't want friends that are going to sugarcoat it or hide anything from you. You're looking for friends that are actually going to be there for you. But female friendship, I'm starting to see this more and more. It is a critical piece to our overall health and development as females. Make friends.
I can't agree more. It's like I look at all the different times in my life, and it's like where I've had that feedback from, and it's always been girls. It's always, for me, it's like I've always had a lot of girlfriends, and the guys, you can have that where you can have relationships with them, but you don't have the same types of conversations that you do with girls. And especially it's like, I mean, we do it raising kids. Everybody talks about how it takes a village to raise a kid. And believe me, I am a wholehearted believer of that, because we're raising my kids. I had the privilege of having that. And it's like, but it's like when you transition into the business world, it's like, it is just as important to have those people that you collaborate with, like in your personal life as it is in your business, because other people around you, especially the closer you are with them, they will see things in your life that are affecting the outcome of everything. And so it's like, you cannot stress how important it is to have other people in your life who are giving you honest feedback.
Yeah.
And to point out those blind spots. And you have to have that right kind of relationship to be able to point out each other's blind spots, and for the person to receive it in the way that you intend it.
Yep. Agree. It is super important. And this is what we're building inside of Truth Bomb Academy. Inside of Unlocking My Millions, what we've put together around the business planning for women is also the community. And that is what we're looking to foster in this community. Find your girlfriends, find the people that you connect with, find the other businesswomen that you're like, damn, we're in alignment, right? Because that's going to be a game changer for you. It is knowing yourself, and it's being open to creating relationships that maybe have scared you. Maybe you're afraid of having girlfriends because you find they're vindictive, or whatever your story you're telling you about other females, but we got to let that shit go. All right. Like, let's just have some fun again. You want to have fun in business, hang out with a bunch of women. We'll do crazy things together all the time. Right. And we'll do it in groups with other, with our partners, and we'll do it in groups with just all men. But there is a difference. There is a difference emotionally, psychologically, physiologically, that happens when you hang out with women. Look for those positive connections. I promise you they'll change your life. So with that, I guess we're wrapping up this live. Thank you for joining us. We're done. She's like, we're done. So let's jump off here. Thank you guys. And again, this is Truth Bomb Marketing. We're the three founders of this company. You guys can see all of our names. We know that we're on here. Come and join us. Head over to truthbombmarketing.com. Get involved in the Unlocking My Millions. Come and let us do it with you as you unlock your true potential in every area of your life, because we know it's possible. So we're having this conversation. Head over and we'll see you there. Bye.